Introverted technical founders all over the world have kept asking me, how do you do customer development if you're just deeply shy, if talking to strangers makes you feel so uncomfortable and you hate doing it? A couple tips and general rules of thumb. One is, and my biggest advice is, find ways to make it easier on yourself. You can only get so far by trying harder. You're much better off if you make it easier. So ways of making it easier include starting with the friendliest first contacts. So don't try to do customer development with the most valuable customer first. Instead, start with the friendliest one. Let's say you have an investor buddy or an entrepreneur buddy or someone who works in the industry, even if they're not interested in buying what you're building. You can treat them as an industry expert and you can go in and learn a lot of basic stuff from them. And you'll find that the more you understand the industry, the more you know, the more comfortable you'll feel. If that person likes you, if they're excited about what you're doing and they believe in the vision, even if it's not for them, then often they can make a couple more warm intros. And when you ask for these intros, don't say, who are the best customers, who has the biggest budget. Instead say like, this still makes me really uncomfortable. I'm not sure, I know what to ask. Do you know anyone who's super friendly, who'd just be willing to help me out? Have a coffee, point me in the right direction. And then your early conversations, don't worry about sales. Don't even worry that much about asking perfect questions or learning about the industry. Just treat it as a way to kind of understand the landscape. What matters? What are the moving pieces? And you can even work with them and be like, what do you think the most important things I need to learn are? What should I be asking people? How can I get the most value out of these conversations? In some ways, stop thinking of them as a customer and start thinking of them as an advisor. Bring them to your side of the table. Over time, at least for myself, I'm very comfortable talking to people now, but I wasn't when I started. I hated it. I'd never been in a meeting before. It was miserable. And I created a lot of stress for myself because I'm like, I need to do this 8 hours a day. I have to go to these meetings. I have to wear a fancy business suit. But actually, I found that the conversations that were the easiest and most casual, most friendly were the ones I also learned the most from. So doing things like if you go to an industry event and, you stand by the bar, you stand by the food, and when you run into people, everyone's awkward at these events, right? They don't know who to talk to. You can just say, hey, weird question. Can I ask about how you guys deal with, this question, this problem, these tools? Which tool do you use to solve this? Like, I know this is a weird question. I'm just curious. And suddenly you'll get into this conversation. You never need to pitch your startup. You never need to explain why you're asking. You can just talk to them like a person. And an awesome thing happens over time where as you talk to more and more customers, you'll find that you understand their problems better than even they do. And so there's this kind of transition point where it stops feeling like they're doing you a favor and it starts feeling like, wow, I understand these people. I know how to make their lives better. I can add real value. And they start to enjoy just talking to you because you have so much insight and so much perspective on this problem that they care about. Other ways of making it easier, you can do things like you can reach out to just a few people who have reached out to you. So let's say you got an email from a really passionate early adopter. That's great. Try to get that guy on a Skype call. If he's in your city, try to grab a coffee. Maybe you can give him free stuff. Whatever you can, just like don't throw yourself into these hostile meetings until you're really comfortable. Focus on the friendly ones. And believe that the more you do this, the better you'll get at it. And the better you get at it, the less it's scary. It starts being fun once you're, the way it works and you've had a few practice rounds with friendly people. So find safe ways to get into it. And if you need to, drag a more meeting savvy friend or business partner along with you. And for your early meetings, your job is just to be the note taker. Just sit, watch, listen, take notes. When you start to feel comfortable, chip in a question or two. Ease yourself into it because, jumping into the deep end, it's, feels very brave, but I don't believe it's the most productive way to do this stuff.